Welcome to the Healthy Way Podcast with Shahi. I'm your host, Shahi Taruti. My intention with this podcast is to teach and inspire you to reach your maximum potential in your health and life and to become the healthiest and best version of you. I will be interviewing world-class international experts in the health and wellness global community. Our topics include lifestyle, nutrition, fitness, mindset, and spirituality. Periodically, I will also be tackling health topics that I'm passionate about sharing with you. Either way, you're in for a treat. So sit back, relax, and enjoy our time together. Welcome to a new episode of the Healthy Way Podcast with Shahi. Today, I have a very special guest. My guest is Lilia Thuler. She's a holistic health practitioner. She holds a Bachelor of Science in Holistic Medicine, and she's also going through her PhD degree. She's a certified Lifeline Practitioner and an advanced thought field therapy, which is known as TFT. Also, and this is something we're going to go deep in detail with Lilia today. Lilia, I'm so happy to have you with me today on the show. Welcome to the Healthy Way Podcast.
Well, thank you, Shahi. It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you. So we always say everything in our life is energy, and we all want to feel better, happier. We all want to feel more alive, but somehow, sometimes we feel something is going the wrong way, and there might be some sort of an emotional disturbance. We really don't know what's going on with us, and we might need some sort of maybe energy healing or something that falls under the umbrella of psychology of how to manage our energy. Well, Lilia, I would like you to introduce us to exactly what is it that you do and how you can help people improve their emotional health.
Well, with pleasure, Shahi. I mainly take care of clients who are looking to improve the quality of their emotional life. That means maybe they're already successful in life, maybe they're already happy enough, but something does not allow them to fully embrace life and say, I am ecstatic, I'm so happy with my life, I want nothing to change. Mm-hmm. And I'm not even sure if such a human being exists.
Mm-hmm. That would sound amazing.
That would be great.
All want that.
Yes. Mm-hmm. And we all have our story. We all have our character and our personality. And just a mixture of all these elements make our life unique. But at the same time, it makes our emotions unique. And some of those emotions hurt us and keep us prisoners of our own past. And that's where I come in. And that's where I love seeing my clients break free from past grudges, past grief, because grief, which is not processed, is never past actually. It is always brought back to you as a fresh emotion of pain. And as anything with any emotional trauma, we can be triggered with our senses in the present moment. It can be a smell of cinnamon at Christmas that reminds you of the fight your parents had when you were 3. And suddenly, subconsciously, your mind goes into protective mode and it shuts off your thoughts. Mm-hmm. And somehow you feel like, why at Christmas I cannot connect to my family? Well, because you recorded in your subconscious mind a program that protects you from pain. And it's still running, although the situation has changed dramatically. You are an adult. You may already have your family. Your parents are fine and they're happy today, in today's moment. But that memory triggers a fear response.
It's amazing, really, how our bodies work, really. Why don't you, Lilia, tell us one of the techniques that you would use, just to introduce
to the audience? The first technique I would use on very sharp emotional pain would be thought field therapy, or TFT, or TFT tapping.
So
as
many
well.
might have heard of it, but we'd love
So
to.
if you're interested, their official website is tfttapping.com. And this is a foundational tapping technique. What is tapping?
Yeah.
It is a technique where we tap very lightly with 2 or 3 fingers on certain precise points on our body. And why those precise points? Because they are on our energy meridians. What are meridians? Meridians are like highways of energy in our body, and they were discovered thousands of years ago. Actually, not even only in China, but also in different parts of the world at the same time. There's evidence there were such discoveries in Italy, in the mountains. They found a very ancient human being with tattoos of those points. At the same time, the Chinese developed the meridian system, and that's the foundation of the Chinese medicine. So the human race, we would say, came to this wisdom because that's part of who we are, part of our body's creation. And those meridians, it's not only about our physical health. As you know, you can go to your acupuncturist with a backache. He would put some needles, heat them up, and suddenly you walk out without back pain or any other inflammatory or chronic illness. Acupuncture is wonderful. But it's not only about physical health. It's also that emotions flow along those highways of energy. And what happens when we feel an unpleasant emotion, it triggers a blockage of that flow of energy. So by tapping on the precise points, we let that energy flow. It's like that blockage. You can imagine a little river, and there's built up of sand and stones that block its way. And then with tapping or with a needle, you clear the way, the path of that river, and it can flow again. So that's how it works. So then it was Dr. Roger Callahan who discovered those points for emotional healing. He discovered that different meridians were responsible for different types of emotions.
That's amazing, really. I mean, just thinking about how can that might sound so simple can be so effective. But for who do you think, does it work for everyone, or are there people who benefit?
It works for everybody.
For everyone.
It works for newborns. It works for any age. All teenagers, adults. They even found that, acupuncture exists for dogs and horses and all animals. So they also have meridians. And there's even acupuncture and tapping for horses to relieve the stress and the fear of, how a horse can be scared of a little mouse and then just stop in its tracks. They're tapping points as well. So
that's amazing. So that's how effective it can be. And then and then I understand you also use another emotional technique for dealing with emotional issues and energies. Can you just as well?
So the second technique that I use is the Lifeline technique, and its website is thelifelineCenter.com. And I had a pleasure and privilege of learning this technique with its founder, Dr. Darren Weissman. So you can read about him and his discoveries on his website. This technique is so deep and broad in its content. It actually englobes 16 different holistic energy techniques, and he has put it all into one flow chart where in 16 steps we go through different ways of approaching your emotional health. And not only emotional, actually, I would say emotional, spiritual, and physical and biochemical health. So it is extremely effective in all domains of your life. But since it's so effective, we choose not even to think about it. We choose to, in every session, we set an intention. That's the pivotal point, actually, in your life. After each session, you're a new person because you have set an intention to improve whatever you want to improve in your health and your life and your well-being. And that intention, as if it takes you on a new path in life. It's one of those intersections where the train can go left or right. And every session takes you on that better track that you can even imagine. And suddenly, as you do 2, 3, 4 sessions, and you set those intentions to improve your life each time, sometimes an intention is, I'm healthy and strong, feeling powerful. So it's always an intention, I am, because that's what you are asking the universe to respond to your intention. And after a few sessions, I have so many clients coming back and saying, there's things are happening in my life, things are falling into place. Maybe you found the right doctor who will help you with that health issue. Maybe you found the right therapist. Maybe something disappeared by itself. Or maybe your kids became just so much nicer. Whatever it is, it's all about energy. Whatever you emit comes back to you multiplied. So that emission of positive intention makes wonders in the flow of your life. So this technique is not only emotional, it's actually life creating. That's what it really is.
Yeah, that's also very powerful, because one thing I notice with so many women that I talk to is that most of the time we feel things are happening to us and we don't have that much control over our lives, how things are happening, quite often not in the way that we'd like them to be, and we feel so helpless. And from what you're describing here is there's a way for us to actually co-create what can happen in our lives. Is that right?
Shahi, you're absolutely right. Because once you understand, or your clients understand, that they are the main reason for everything that happens in their life, they are responsible. Not in a bad way, not in a blaming way, but in this conscious, responsible way.
Even if it has to do with our health, even sometimes, because
absolutely. Health is actually just a byproduct of who you are, of what you have manifested in life. I'm not saying it's your fault that you're sick, absolutely not. But these are it's a result of a mixture of genetics and emotional history, because all our triggers, all our little traumas or the big traumas make up for who we are. And actually, on a biochemical level, our every cell starts reacting to those triggers. If you get annoyed each time you see a black car, because an event that traumatized you when you were 5, those triggers are constantly creating the acidity and fight and flight response in your body without you even knowing why it's doing that.
It's very automatic, really.
And those reflexes are actually creating, gently, very slowly creating symptoms in your body. And once the symptoms become so strong that you start noticing them, you are probably 40% advanced in the development of that symptom. 40%.
Yeah, really starts with awareness. Is a huge step, really, to start with just being aware of what's exactly triggering the certain emotion, what's really going on.
Absolutely.
So let's I always like to give my audience a very quick tips on things that they can take action on right away to make them start feeling better. So what is it, one thing, like, let's say if somebody's is feeling really helpless, anxious, maybe depressed, and what is it one thing that you can advise this person to do to start feeling really a lot better today?
Okay. There are a few things. Firstly, I would advise anybody to go to a pharmacy and buy the Batch Rescue Remedy. This is a product which is absolutely harmless, but it is an ingenious product that you can spray under your tongue and within minutes feel relief of any strong anxiety or strong emotion. So that's the first thing that you can do that does not require an enormous effort.
What is
And
it?
once
I think we need to leave the link for that on the note show so people can look it up. And
it's part of the Batch Flower Remedies, and
mm-hmm.
it's sold all over the world in many, many pharmacies.
Mm-hmm. The link will be in the for the audience if they'd like to look that up. If they can see it in the show notes.
So once you have sprayed it, maybe a few days in a row, you will start feeling a certain relief and certain calmness. And on that foundation, you can start doing mental work, because when you're in the heat of anxiety or worry or grief, it's so hard to just get yourself together. And that spray is just gonna give you that bridge towards a calmer self.
But can you just tell us also,
yes,
because I'm sure people will be curious, what does it do exactly, or what are the components?
It actually, yes, it is. It works on an energy level, mm-hmm. because it is prepared by putting flowers in water and mm-hmm. putting it in the sun. So that's how the energy of the life plant is transmitted to water, and that water is then diluted with alcohol for conservation. And every plant has its own energy and its own, it can have an effect on our emotional nature. So Dr. Batch was a genius, and he could feel the energy and the character of each plant, and he knew, and then he tested it on many, many clients, which emotion was relieved by which flower. And he made this formula of 5 plants together, mm-hmm. and he made his team promise that this formula will never ever be changed. And now, many years after he's gone, this formula is still sold as he invented it, mm-hmm. because it is so powerful to relieve shock, stress, trauma, fear, and it can even relieve fainting from emotion. Mm-hmm. So in any moment of trauma or traumatic event, even a child bumping its head and crying, you can even rub it on the bump. You can put it under their tongue. There's a version which is alcohol-free for children, and it does wonders with your energy field. It mm-hmm. works with your aura, with your meridians. It just works, it's mm-hmm. it's on a level of homeopathy. Okay. When it is precise, it works. And this remedy has proven itself for many decades all over the world. It just works. Every mom should have it in her purse.
Mm-hmm. That's a great tip. I'm sure so many moms will appreciate this tip.
Yes. So the second thing I would say, we call it, once you start analyzing, mm-hmm. what is causing me discomfort? What is that emotion? And zoom into that emotion. Because sometimes we say, I'm stressed or I'm tired, but actually there are layers and layers of many emotions. And if you start peeling it like an onion, what is really hurting me at this moment? And instead of running away from it or putting a big band-aid like, oh, it's just stress. No, just open it up and see and feel it. Actually, feeling is healing. And I teach
like
my
that.
clients to actually sit in that emotion. Sit in it. Don't run away. And what they very often find is that within minutes, that emotion trickles away by itself if you don't run away. So that is a very important point that everybody can take away.
So you're saying
never run away.
If someone is feeling really anxious, is feeling really some sort of negative emotions, you are advising them to not try to run away from the feeling, but try to really
observe without judging yourself that how come I'm anxious, why I don't want to be angry, I don't want to be this. Just sit there and say, okay, what is it? And give it a few minutes.
Right. Because, you know, we all live a very stressed life. I mean, we're in an age, an age and time where everything is rushing, and it's all about doing multitasking, and especially moms. If we're talking about moms, you know, you have so much on your list, and feeling you cannot not to be stressed. You know, is something
absolutely. And I think you've touched on a very, very important point. Multitasking. In our society, multitasking is praised, but I think that's the main point of all our many of our troubles.
I agree.
We are multitasking. We are this is the most unhealthy thing, is multitasking. And it keeps us in constant stress. And if you actually let things fall, not multitask, and say, I'm going to do it one by one. If I'm washing dishes, I'm washing dishes. I'm not also calling on the phone at the same time and then screaming at the kids at the same time. And actually, you will be screaming at the kids and not talking gently because you are multitasking. So drop the multitasking. That's one of the biggest healing actions you can give yourself as a gift.
I think that's a good advice. That's a really and I think, I mean, I think we've covered on so many things. I mean, there's so much that we covered here. And if people want to know more about what you offer, Lily, how can reach you?
Of course. My website is pegasusholistic.com. That is Pegasus, the flying horse, Pegasus Holistic in one word.com.
We'll definitely leave that in the show notes for everyone to check it out.
Wonderful. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I think there was so much value shared today, and especially the tips that we gave to our audience. They can start really being focused on whatever they're doing and being aware of how they're feeling, and let themselves feel the feelings instead of just running away of stress, and try to find out exactly what's going on and why they're feeling this way. And if they feel they need help, further help, they can definitely seek support.
It will be an honor to help anybody who is willing to improve their quality of life and to feel happier and healthier every single day.
Definitely. Lilia, thank you so much for being my guest today, and looking forward to more episodes with you. I know there's so much we can
I know.
So we'll definitely be having more and more episodes together. Thank you so much. And
well, thank you, Shahi. It was a great pleasure talking to you today.
Take care. Bye.
I truly hope you've enjoyed listening to this episode of the Healthy Way podcast with Shahi. You can always find any links mentioned on the show over on the show notes. If you haven't subscribed to the show already, remember to click on the subscribe button next to the podcast. If you scroll further down on the podcast page on your phone, you can tap to rate our show and leave your review on iTunes. I'll see you on the next episode.